Hi, I'm John Schreiber. For over 19 seasons, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center has been the state's premier home to both world-class and community-centered performances. We pride ourselves on presenting something for everyone. That is why we are very proud to partner with the Caucus Educational Corporation to produce One-on-One at NJPAC with Steve Adubato. This groundbreaking series features some of the very best talent New Jersey has produced. We're pleased to welcome them and you to the Arts Center.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been provided by Barnabas Health. Life is better healthy. Cone Resnick, Accounting, Tax, and Advisory, where forward thinking creates results. NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree. Josh S. Weston, the Fidelco Group, the Northward Center, and by Verizon Communications.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One here at the beautiful New Jersey Performing Arts Center, NJPAC. We are honored to be joined by T.S. Monk, a terrific jazz musician. He happens to be the son of music icon Thelonious Monk. And he just told me, right before we got on the air, you moved to New Jersey in 1995?
1995.
You lived over on the west side of Manhattan?
I lived on West End Avenue all my life, and New Jersey to me was like, I mean, it was like, I felt like I was going to the dark side of the moon. I said, there's nothing happening in New Jersey, but I got these kids and I want to get out of Brooklyn, so I'm going to go to New Jersey and I'll just deal with it. And the most wonderful thing happened the very first day I was at my new home. I live in South Orange.
Great community.
I heard this Duke Ellington music, right? So I say, oh, I must have a neighbor that likes jazz, right? So I'm going down the block, down this hill, following the music. And I come down to the end of my block, and it's a place called Flood Hill.
Yeah.
And John, who was it? John Faddis was leading the Carnegie Hall Jazz Orchestra live right there, practically in my backyard.
Come on, that's a sign.
Oh, it was a sign. It was a great sign. And then, of course, you know, I came here to NJPAC when they were still they were laying the concrete,
right.
And they wanted me to help create the wonderful, wonderful jazz program that is going on here at NJPAC. And so I came in and I got a chance to look at this place before anything was ever built.
Because it's 18 years old now.
Yeah.
And by the way, so you're performing at Little Jazz Festival?
Yeah, Jazz Festival next month.
How big is that jazz festival? The James Moody Jazz Festival?
It's the James Moody Jazz Festival, and it's been very, very successful. It's been going on for about 7 or 8 years. I've played it a couple of times. But the amazing thing about New Jersey, another thing, going back to my perception of New Jersey, was when I moved out here, I think Christy Whitman was still the governor.
Yeah.
And that year, when she was running for governor, she was doing a lot of commercials with Ray Charles, of all people. And I said, oh, man, it's like jazz everywhere. So I've just had a wonderful time. I've been able to raise my kids here in New Jersey, and I'm delighted to be here because I will tell your audience, without a doubt, I've been in most of the major performance venues all over the world, and this here, NJPAC, is one of the very, very finest in the world.
What makes it great?
Well, it's a combination of things. Location. It's in a wonderful location. It's easy to access for anyone in New Jersey and people in New York. But they use the finest materials building this venue in all of the rooms. The finest woods, seats. They had great acoustical engineers come in, not make some of the mistakes that might have been made at a Lincoln Center or someplace like that in years gone by, and has ended up with just an absolutely fabulous performance venue that I happen to know from all the artists that I know that have performed here, they all love it. I haven't heard anybody say, oh, I played at NJPAC and the room wasn't right or the sound was bad or anything like that. So it's marvelous.
And real quick, describe the festival. What are people going to experience in that festival?
Well, they're going to experience me, and I'm a piece of work.
You play the drums, left-handed?
Yes.
You one of the only?
Yes. One of the only, but there's a whole group of drummers that actually play in between because the drums are actually it's assumed you play right-handed. And when left-handed players get on the drums, things are kind of backwards. And so you have some great drummers like the great Billy Cobham or the great Lenny White, who actually play in a sort of a hybrid way. They set up the drums right-handed, but they actually play left-handed. Myself, on the other hand, the first day I went for lessons
Who taught you?
Max Roach taught me. And the first day I went, I sat down and I was doing exactly that. I was sitting down, I was left-handed, and I sat down at the drum set right-handed, and he said, my nickname is Toot, T-O-O-T. He said, Toot, just turn the whole set around. It's like a mirror. And so more often than not, a right-handed drummer will jump on my drum set, and when they get there, they say, wait a minute, everything is backwards, because I set my drum set up exactly like a right-handed drummer, except in reverse. But there are very few of us left-handed drummers. One of the greatest left-handed drummers that ever lived in jazz, Al Harewood, just died this past year at the age of, I think he was I was with him on his 91st birthday. I think he was 92 when he passed away. Drums keep you living a long time.
You must have experienced some amazing things growing up. And by the way, when did you know that your father, the great Thelonious Monk, was the great Thelonious Monk?
You know, Steve, it's very interesting because I just recently, his birthday was October 10th, and I wrote a blog for the Huffington Post, which got a lot of likes and that sort of thing. And I was talking about exactly that. And for me, you have to understand, I'm 5 years old, and people are telling me, hey, man, do you know your father's one of the greatest musicians that ever lived? This one is telling me, you know, his music is going to be here for the next 300 years. Now, I'm 5 years old, 7 years old. I can't perceive 300 years. It sounds like, you know, never, never. But there were other people that would say to me, you know, in 50 years, your father's going to be bigger than he ever was. And that I could perceive because I could perceive 1 year.
Right.
So 50 years I could perceive, but still I said, well, in 50 years, at 10 years old, you figure at 50 you're going to be an old man. And I said to myself, well, but by the time I'm an old man, they'll have forgotten my father because I'd seen this one come and go and that one come and go and that one come and go. And here we are, 50 years later. Thelonious is bigger than ever. He is now the second most recorded artist in the history of jazz, and his composition, Round Midnight, is the most recorded composition in the history of jazz.
Well, you know, first time I heard Round Midnight, I just tried to comprehend what it took to put together and whether he knew and those around him knew what it was. What is it? What was it? Why?
It's the melody. Thelonious was a slave to melody. I once asked him what was the most important element of music, and he said it was melody. And I think that the melody of Round Midnight is so haunting, and it seems to have had the same effect on generation after generation because, you know, this year was Thelonious' 98th birthday, but he wrote Round Midnight when he was 23 years old, back in the early 40s, and immediately people just latched on to that composition, and there's something about it. It's also, you have to understand that compositions in jazz are improvisational vehicles. And the greatest compositions are not only wonderful melodies, but they're great improvisational vehicles. And Round Midnight is an absolutely fabulous improvisational vehicle for any jazz musician when it comes to improvising. And so I think the combination of this incredibly haunting melody combined with the fact that substantively it is the kind of tune jazz musicians like to improvise on, I just think it makes it very, very magical.
You talk about improvising. The R&B piece for you, I mean, jazz is jazz, but I've talked to several great musicians here who say that the lines are not as clear-cut. For you, the R&B piece and jazz work well together?
It worked absolutely fabulous, and actually I had my first success with actually hit songs, hit dance records in the 80s. But going to that point, I must tell your audience that one has to understand historically, for an artist like myself, I'm 65 years old now. Yeah, and in the 1970s, when jazz was at its low point, my generation of jazz musicians, the clubs were gone, the Harlem scene was gone, and so we used to do something we called, well, I have to take this boogaloo gig, right? Because of boogaloo on television. And what that meant was I had to take this R&B gig. And
was it a step down, perceived to be a step down?
No, it wasn't a step down. It's more like a step to the left or a step to the right.
A step to make some money and stay alive.
A step to make some money, exactly. But the effect that had when my generation got into R&B we are the ones that actually provided the material for what we now call classic R&B. The groups like Earth, Wind and Fire,
Yes.
the Commodores.
Yes.
When you look at
Heavy jazz
if you go
influence.
to the pedigree of the players, Kool and the Gang, you ask those guys, well, what were you doing when you were young? The saxophone players will tell you, well, I was trying to play like John Coltrane. And the drummers will say,
Charlie
well, I wanted to be
Parker,
Art
whomever.
Blakey
Right.
or Max Roach.
By the way, if your first drums came from Art Blakey?
My first drums came from Art Blakey, and I traded them in for plastic Fives drums in the 1970s because that was the new thing.
What?
And I didn't know who Art was. He had been around me all my life. He was just Art. I didn't know he was one of the greatest drummers of all time. And so one day, I looked at the drum set that he gave me, and I said, I don't want these old drums. I want some new, fancy, shiny plastic drums.
You didn't understand
I
the
didn't
significance.
understand. I didn't understand. See, and that goes back to what you were talking about, my father. It wasn't until I was 19 that I discovered who my father was.
19?
19. Because it was just always coming at me, but he was a good dad. Thelonious was around. He was in the house.
around?
He took me everywhere with him. He took my sister everywhere with him. So he was really daddy.
Where'd you guys grow up?
New York City, Manhattan.
Right in Manhattan?
Right in
What part of
Manhattan,
Manhattan?
63rd Street and West End, which is now Thelonious Sphere Monk Circle. He would never believe it, but they
God.
named the street after him.
By the way, I was going to ask what you're going to play for us, and then I was told that you're just going to
I'm just
do
going to
an improvisational?
Yeah, just, people often don't think of the drums as a musical instrument. And if you look at the history of drums and the music industry, there are two drum solos that people recall. Old people will recall a drum solo by a guy named Cozy Cole, and it was a huge hit record called Topsy.
Go ahead.
Right? And then you and my generation and most Americans know one drum solo, and that's called Wipeout.
Oh, wait.
Everybody knows Wipeout.
Yes.
Because people don't
1960s.
Right. People don't fundamentally understand drum solos.
Because I used to play it on the hood of a car.
Exactly. Everybody can play Wipeout. So when you play a drum
Not
solo,
well, but go ahead.
there's a musical component to it that I don't think most people are aware of unless you sort of really put it in their face. And it takes a lot of heart, and it takes a lot of cojones to just get on the drums and say, I don't got no band, I don't got nothing. I'm just going to play some drums for you and make you like it.
T.S. Monk, I know you're not going to play Wipeout for us.
No.
But I know you're going to play something special.
Yes.
Listen, you honor us here at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, a place you know well, you love and appreciate, and you are going to be a big part of the 2015 TD James Moody Jazz Festival.
It's a pleasure.
And we look forward to listening to you play, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Steve.
All the best, man. Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to welcome, as part of our Newark at a Crossroads series here at New Jersey Performing Arts Center, Bill Stephney, Principal, Broad Market Media, and also Senior Advisor, Newark Venture Partners. Good to see you, Bill.
Thank you for having me.
You have a fascinating background.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this for a second. Def Jam. You go back with those folks all the way, right?
Yeah, back to the mid-'80s, to their founding.
Who did you, Chuck D, you met back at Adelphi?
Yeah, Chuck D and I were classmates at Adelphi University together, and we also worked on the campus radio station.
You were the first paid employee who actually got a check at Def Jam.
Yeah, a check that didn't bounce. That was the key thing. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, that one cashed, and I continued to work with them for about 4 years.
Let's bring it all the way back. So you've had this fascinating background in business, in making things happen. Give me the Newark connection.
On a number of levels. I live in Morris County, so when I moved from Brooklyn with my family to Morris County, you have to sort of come through Newark.
Right.
Over the years, I've had friends, acquaintances, business partners, enjoyed entertainment and culture here in the city, and really fell in love with the city. In fact, I met the current mayor, Ras Baraka, some 25 years ago,
Is that
when
right?
he was a rapper and a poet attending Howard University.
You know what? Mayor Baraka sat right there a few months back, and recently we talked to him at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, and he talked about just that subject, about the Howard University experience, about his early career and what he thought he would be doing, and his social activism, and then his family growing up in the extraordinary family that he did, arts, culture, and social activism. So interesting you say that.
Sure, well, you know, it just shows you the breadth and level of talent that we have in the city and in the state, that you can meet an artistic young student some 20 plus years ago. And if you believe in them, if you invest in them, they can be mayor, actually, of the largest city in the state.
Talk about Newark Venture Partners.
Newark Venture Partners is a tech investment fund founded by Don Katz.
Over at Audible.
Over at Audible, the magical founder of Audible.com, who came up with what I think is a revolutionary idea for urban investing, that instead of focusing on the vague notion of creating opportunity or even job creation, what about idea creation? What about dream creation? How do we invest in those dreams? What if that young Ras Baraka in the South Ward has the idea for Uber or Facebook in his or her head? How does that get activated? How does that get invested in? Or if an entrepreneur, maybe based in Seattle, maybe based in San Francisco, enjoys or would like to enjoy the proximity of being so close to Wall Street and to New York City, and the virtues of being in the beautiful Garden State, but they're looking for a place to venue their new business, why not bring it to Newark, New Jersey?
How much, it's interesting as you talk about this Newark Venture Partners initiative, how much does that bring you back to your early days at Def Jam? And how much is the different from that?
It's not different, because the hip hop industry, culture.
By the way, excuse me for interrupting. Describe that for those who may not be familiar with what that was and why it remains so incredibly important to hip hop culture and, frankly, entertainment, the entertainment industry.
Well, you know, hip hop in general began as a cultural peace movement located in the South Bronx and in Harlem back in the mid-'70s, formed by a number of cultural innovators themselves, Africa Bambaataa and Kool Herc, where parties were essentially developed and produced on the streets of the city as a way to combat gang violence. Well, that exploded over the course of 30 years to now a multi-billion-dollar industry that built firms like Def Jam, which was formed by Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin some years ago. That sort of entrepreneurial and cultural energy can be harnessed It can go from making music to playing in the NBA to actually becoming a tech entrepreneur. And we think that the same principles of investment and organic, viral creativity that spurred hip hop can spur tech investment and creativity right here in Newark.
This city, a city for some of us, a city of our home, our birth, a city that we choose to do our business here. We choose to, even if for those of us who don't live in the city any longer, some of us,
But you're of the city. It's in you.
Well said, because I try to explain that to folks. I was at a feast over the weekend here in Newark. One of the many, without going into a lot of detail, there was an Italian feast at an old Italian church from my parents and grandparents who were a part of. And there's nothing like it in suburban anywhere. There just isn't, because old urban churches are just part of urban life. And the point I'm making is that we choose to do our tapings here at NJPAC and at NJIT and at the museum, Newark Museum coming up, and our partners at NJTV chose to be here in Newark. There's something about being in a city, is there not? Or am I making too much of that?
Energy. Soul. I think cities have soul. And this is not to disparage.
Doesn't mean we don't have problems. No question. And not to disparage non-urban environments. I live in one too. But there's something about the vibrancy of the city. When we talk about even funk and soul in music, there was a Supreme Court justice, when trying to define obscenity, he said, well, I can't define it. But
I know it
when I see it.
Well, the same thing with soul. Absolutely. The same thing with funk, and I think the same thing with the sort of energy that you have in places like Newark, that you feel it. It goes through you and spurs you to become creative.
You talk about investment a lot. What do you see as the potential future of this city? With all of our problems in terms of education and crime and unemployment, all the issues we sat here and talked to Mayor Baraka about, and at NJIT talked to Mayor Baraka about, and other elected officials who deal with the challenges and problems, and civic leaders who deal with the challenges and problems of the city. What do you see for the future of the city?
I see Don Katz bringing Audible.com from Wayne, New Jersey to Newark and building his business, which is also a significant partnership with Amazon.com, that sort of growth continuing. I see incredible entertainment media assets, given that you and I are both in the media business, that allow for us to tape a show here at NJPAC, to go to even a larger show at The Rock, to go over to the Newark Museum, to see Newark Symphony Hall as an historic cultural institution. There are very few communities, cities, areas that have these sorts of live presentation assets so co-located, so close to one another. There are so many unique assets, actually, to being in Newark. The proximity to the airport, the proximity to Wall Street, that we undervalue. I think the principles and the basics of the city. If Newark were a business starting out, you'd say that the basics, the underlying core assets of the company are actually very good, despite very serious challenges.
And real quick, on the technology side, what kind of future?
Very good future. Newark sits on top of, and I'm not a techie in that regard, but sits on top of an incredible hub of fiber that makes it regionally one of the core locations for fast speed, high speed internet service. So part of the benefit that we have for locating accelerator businesses and new startup businesses, tech businesses here in Newark, is based on the fact that we have access to this high speed broadband Wi-Fi and internet service.
Real quick before I let you out of here, you've had this extraordinary background in business, dealing with some pretty interesting players. You understand leadership on a lot of levels, and we've been doing this series called Lessons in Leadership that you may know about. And so I asked folks the most significant lesson they've learned about leadership in their professional life. So I'm going to ask you, number one leadership lesson you've learned so far is?
Listening. That there's a certain point where a good leader can listen and can hear not only the folks that work certainly within their employ or within their organization, but you listen to the point where you can hear new trends, new ideas, and you can activate on those new trends and new ideas. That's, again, how you can move an organization from 0 to 50 so quickly.
Real quick, why do you think it's so hard for so many of us to be better listeners?
We get in the way because we think our idea is always the best idea in the world. So we always consistently, I think, want to hear our own idea rather than the new idea, or the unique idea for that matter.
Sometimes the answer's around us, it's not in us, right?
Absolutely.
You're doing good stuff. And Bill Stephney, principal with Broad Market Media and also senior advisor to a terrific operation that Don Katz, our good partner and friend, started up, Newark Venture Partners. I want to thank you for joining us. Well done.
Thank you very much.
That was great.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, in cooperation with NJTV and 13 for WNET. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been provided by Barnabas Health, Cone Resnick, NJ Best, Josh S. Weston, the Fidelco Group, the Northward Center, and by Verizon Communications. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey. And by NJ Biz, all business, all New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, I'm Eric. You might see me as an ordinary person, but I've been living with a brain injury for nearly 2 years. One of my struggles is short-term memory loss. At Opportunity Project, I'm given hope and support, and I've gained my compass back through the job placement program. Despite my challenges, I have a reason to keep improving. Today, even though life has changed me, I believe that anything is possible.
If you have a brain injury, you don't have to face your road to recovery alone.